Secretary, Rishani, and ladies and gentlemen, friends, brothers and sisters. I think after an unprecedentedly emotional speech by Baba Ramdev, there's not too much for me to add. Verily, he is a full karma yogi, going the lengths and breadths of India, and masses are in large numbers following him everywhere. We are today lucky that a large opposition party, the principal opposition party, the BJP, has got a credible candidate for the Prime Ministership of India. Narendra Modi comes with a track record of having performed in Gujarat. People say that the Congress party's candidate is going to be Rahul Gandhi. I normally never refer to him as Rahul Gandhi, but as Buddhu. People say, how do you know? I say because I'm a professor and I can recognize a Buddhu student from an intelligent student. Now, he must be a Buddhu, otherwise, how could you address that press conference? That ordinance was first approved by the Congress Party Core Committee. The chairman of that committee is Ms. Sonia Gandhi. The vice chairman of that committee is Rahul Gandhi. So in a committee of which he is the principal office bearer after his mother, it approves this ordinance. Of course we were against this ordinance, but he approves this ordinance. And then the cabinet meets and unanimously recommends it to the president. And suddenly walks into a press conference he didn't call. It was called by somebody else, and he does get a step aside. And he says, this is nonsense, it should be torn up and thrown away. Is this a sign of mental stability? In this country, in the United States, the medical records of every candidate, even for the Senate and Congress, would be under scrutiny. And I think in India also we need to bring that tradition. And if you bring the mental records, the health records of Mr. Rahul Gandhi, you will find that he underwent psychiatric care between 1985 and 87 under the supervision of Professor B.B. Sethi, who was for a long time professor of psychiatry in the University of Pennsylvania. Now, don't you think the country needs to know this? Because they are not truthful people. Ms. Sonia Gandhi once claimed that she had got on oath, on an affidavit, as a candidate which you have to file as for the Lok Sabha. She claimed that she got a degree in English from the University of Cambridge. It was just by accident I had gone to give a lecture at the University of Cambridge, and I asked them what kind of student she was. They said she was never a student here. We never had such a student. And I said, can you give it to me in writing? So they said yes, and the registrar of the university gave it to me in writing. That we never had a student by name Sonia Gandhi. And by way of abundant precaution, I also gave her other names. Edwige, Albina, Antonia, Mino. And they said none of these names we ever had a student. And when I brought it to the notice of the speaker and asked our Lok Sabha to ask him to ask her, she replied that it was a printing mistake. Now you tell me, how can you have a printing mistake of a one full sentence which says, studied in the University of Cambridge and got a degree in English? You can have a printing mistake, typing mistake, which is a comma and a full stop. But you can't have a whole sentence printing mistake. Where was she born? Don't know. What's her real name? Don't know. What is her father doing? Where did he work? Because I know by my own research that he was a soldier in the Nazi army. Nazis invaded Russia, he was taken prisoner, and he was kept in Vladimir jail for 4 years. The Russians the Soviets released him very quickly because they never released any other soldier before 20 years. The only people they released early were those who signed up with the KGB. That also we have that evidence. Now, can you imagine in the United States a candidate for the Prime Minister who comes from a Nazi family? Will this be tolerated? So therefore, I say to you that today we are on the verge of what would be called as a Mahabharata. The only thing is that in the way things are developing, the contest is not going to be there. It is going to be a walkover for the BJP if the only candidate they can think of is Rahul Gandhi. Now, we now have to think in terms of a renaissance for India. We were the most developed country till 1700 by all contemporary standards. Visitors from abroad like the Chinese, monks, Parsian, Yuan Chuan, Vasco da Gama from Portugal, Mark Twain from the United States, and many other visitors have written long books about their experiences. And they say what a great country it is, what a nice people they are, how honest we are. All the things we are not today, that was said about us till 1700. Today, we are considered the most corrupt country in the world. We are considered a country which is most terrorist afflicted. The number of incidents that take place, terrorist attacks take place in India is more than any other country. So even more than Iraq. This is compiled by the American publication. So I say all these problems have to be solved. And they are solvable. The economy can grow fast again. Between 1950 and 1990, people used to snigger about India's growth rate as the Hindu rate of growth. It was actually the Soviet model rate of growth, 3.5% per year. At that time, I suddenly unexpectedly became minister in the Chandrasekhar government. I was the senior most minister. My advisor was Mr. Manmohan Singh, whom I brought after he had migrated to Switzerland. Maybe I shouldn't have brought him back, but he's very good as an officer. He performed very well. My Commerce Secretary was Montek Singh Alwalia. We produced a blueprints. I got it through the cabinet when the government fell. The successor government came, Mr. Narasimha Rao. He put his entire political weight to get it done. There's no appreciation for him at all. He had to die in disgrace, the way Manmohan Singh may die. People say, hasn't he got any shame? Why doesn't he resign? I said, that's the only saving grace. I don't want Manmohan Singh to resign because the alternative to Manmohan Singh is much worse than Manmohan Singh. The best contribution Manmohan Singh can make is refuse to resign till 2014. After that, we'll get rid of the Congress as a whole. What happened to the rupee? Why did it fall like this? It's got nothing to do with the economy. It has got to do with the fact that two important relatives, one the son of the finance minister, Mr. Karti Chidambaram, and the other the son-in-law of Ms. Sonia Gandhi, Mr. Robert Vadra, one in Singapore and another based in Dubai. They did short selling of the rupee. What is short selling? I take $1 from you and promise to return at the rate of 60 rupees per dollar, and I promise to return to you within 1 week 61 rupees or 62 rupees. So it's no money of yours. You have taken somebody's $1, but you have promised to return in 61 or 62 rupees. And then within that week the thing falls to 65. So you give him back at 62 or 61, and the remaining 3 or 4 rupees is your pure profit without putting a single penny into the deal. This is called forward trading in commodities. It's called short selling in rupee. But you run a danger. Supposing the price falls below 60, goes to 58, then you are ruined because you have sunk in millions of dollars. Not $1 you take, millions of dollars. So you've got to be assured that that will not happen. So Mr. Vadra, through his mother-in-law, and Mr. Kartijinam, through his father, ensure that no policy is followed by the government by which the dollar price can come down. What could the government have done? We have $277 billion as reserves. Just take 20 billion out of that and put it in the market. The price of rupee would have come down to 60, from 60 to 50, instead of going up to 65 and 68. But there was an assurance that that will not happen. And they made millions and millions of dollars of profit, these two relatives. And the country was the loser. The day I made a public announcement and said where exactly these two are doing it, the next day the Governor of Reserve Bank initiated this open market operations of putting dollars in the market, and since then the price has now come down to 63. So this is loot. This is a rectifiable problem. India can, in my opinion, may not be good news for you NRIs, but the price of the rupee, the dollar will come down from 60 to 40 within 1 year, and from 40 to 10 in 5 years. So if you are an importer in India, you will be happy. Much cheaper it will be. And similarly, today there are such large number of suicides in our agriculture. Is this a rectifiable problem? Of course it is a rectifiable problem. The first problem with agriculture is that over the last 5 decades, the investment in agriculture has come down. Mahatma Gandhi had said that the first priority must be agriculture. Why? Because the British sucked the agriculture fully dry, bone dry. Why? Because in 1857, the peasantry of India, they put their entire wealth and money in the hands of Rani Jhansi and others to throw the British out. Due to certain miscalculations, we didn't win that war. They win that war. But we really mounted a massive upheaval, and that's why Veer Savarkar correctly calls it the first war of India's independence, for India's independence. The British called it mutiny. That is a degrading word to use for us. But the British realized at that time that the peasantry is in revolt. British historians have written many times during the 19th century that the day the peasantry rise up, the day the Indian army recruited by the British revolts, that is the day for the British to leave India. So when they saw this, they decided to crush it. And they created this zamindari system, where criminals were empowered to extract any amount of money that they wanted from the farmers. For land, for revenue for the British. The British fixed a quota. We must get annually so much money. You can collect as much as you like, but we must get it. We must get this amount to run the administration of India. And so these criminal elements were given powers to take the land away if they couldn't pay the amount they wanted, take their brothers and uncles and relatives' land also, seize that if they couldn't pay. And nothing was left for the farmer. Agriculture was completely squeezed by 1947. We had a yield per acre which was larger than China's in 1870. It became half of China in 1947. And China itself was under attack from foreign powers, and its agriculture was being neglected. But there was no extraction of resources. At that time, Jawaharlal Nehru imposed a model where it required for industrialization to extract resources from agriculture. There were no resources to extract. Therefore, we had a huge food problem, which we ultimately solved through the Green Revolution. So, today, agriculture, what is the problem? It is the most potentially progressive sector of your country. 12 months of the year you can do agriculture in India, not in the United States. 5 months you have snowfall here. Europe, the same thing. India, you can do 12 months of the year agriculture, which means you can grow 3 crops. We grow only in 25% of our land more than 1 crop. 75% nothing. India can triple its agricultural production without additional investment, provided you make this arrangement for adequate water and fertilizer to triple its production. You know, the yield per acre in the Indian Agricultural Research Institute experimental plots, which is part of India, is 6 times the yield per acre in the rest of the country, outside these experimental plots. Only by giving water, fertilizer, good seeds, Indian Agricultural Research Institute is able to demonstrate in the same soil that it can get 6 times the yield per acre. And we have not done so. If we make arrangements to see that every farmer gets adequate water, fertilizer, and pesticides, it can increase its production 6 times. Yield per acre of rice is the lowest in India amongst the large countries. Yield per acre even of cotton is lower than that of Egypt on the sands of Egypt. So that means it can go up. I've told you in many of my previous lectures that we have 150 million cows, but they give you only 200 liters per year. An average Israeli cow gives you 11,000 liters per year. Imagine if 150 million cows started giving you 11,000 liters per year. You can have your bath in milk, that much milk you will produce. And its price is 1/15 of that of the milk in Europe. So you export it. You need cold storages, you need small airports, you need packaging industry. All these things if you do. So agriculture, in my opinion, is the lead sector for India. And Narendra Modi has shown it in agriculture, in Gujarat, where agriculture has grown at 11 to 12% per year, the last 10 years consistently. It can be done in the whole of India, particularly in UP, Bihar, where the Gangetic Plain is there. So here is the potential. You have the youngest population in the world amongst the large countries. Average age of an Indian is only 27. Average age of a Chinese is 37 thanks to their idiotic one child per family policy. And average age of an American is 38. Would have been more but for immigration. Average age of Europe is 46. Average age of Japanese is 50. These are all aging populations. Ours is a young population. And why is a young population important? Because history of economic development shows that it is new innovations which accelerate your growth rate. The Industrial Revolution came because of locomotives and Bessemer steel plant. Then the American Revolution came because of jet engines, telexes and so on. And the 1990s boom came because of internet. Today internet has revolutionized the way you do production. Tomorrow, new inventions like hydrogen fuel cells. Today we are dependent on the Arabs for oil, 85% of oil. We can look for substitutes. The Americans will not look for substitutes because they have got lots of oil. They put them all underground in storages. And now they've got shale oil also. So the American oil companies will not let you do research on hydrogen fuel cells. But we can. We have already done plenty of research. And if you, India and China, go to hydrogen fuel cells for automobiles, then the Arab countries, all the Arab sheikhs will have to go back to their tents and climb on the camels again. Tell me, from Morocco to Indonesia, which Arab country has produced industry? Which Arab country has produced any research? They have plenty of money. But it's all because they can dig a hole in the ground and something will come out of it. Some black gold will come, you sell it and make money. And you build buildings and you hire foreigners to run your financial services. Like that, there are plenty. India has got plenty of capacity to do use solar energy, wind energy. So all this requires new minds coming out of universities. We should build top-class universities. United States, all top-class universities are run by alumni, not by the government of the United States. I think now NRIs have reached a stage where if we encourage you, you are in a position to build 100 top-class universities in our country. And I discussed this with Narendra Modi before coming. I can tell you NRIs have a special place for us because you have demonstrated your capacity. You have now become the highest per capita income community. And we would like to see that you participate in the knowledge industry of India. You enhance our knowledge, you increase our capacity to make new inventions, and we should ensure, like the Jewish community does for Israel. So the same way we can do it for ourselves. So I don't think there's any problem. There's no shortage of resources in India. If I had auctioned 2G spectrum, I would have got 1,76,000 crores. Don't go by Kapil Sibal's estimate of 0, because that poor man can't count beyond 0. 1,76,000 for 2G. 4G is coming. 4G you will get 4 lakh crores. If you had auctioned the coal blocks, you would have got 11 lakh rupees. If you had auctioned the oil fields that you gave free to Ambani's, you would have got 24 lakh rupees. What is the total income tax, personal income tax revenue that the government of India gets? 2 lakh crores only. Here is 4, 11, 24. We have 60% of the world's thorium in our country. 60% of the world's thorium. By 2050, uranium will be exhausted. The United States already started research on thorium. We had started much earlier thanks to Baba, but because of this Indo-US nuclear agreement, this has all been scuttled. The third stage, which is the final stage of research, has been stopped. But the sand of Kerala and Tamil Nadu have monazite, which has the thorium. And today, illegally, it is being scooped by Indian companies, Indian smugglers, and exported to the United States. If instead of that, a portion of it, which is we have got, since we have got excess thorium, if we have to auction it, the amount, the demand that is there, and its proper pricing, you would get 44 lakh rupees. There are 70, the Ramdev gave an estimate of 100 lakh crores of Indians having money in foreign bank accounts. That can be brought back in India very quickly. For that, I can tell you a good ordinance. I have vetted it with all the top legal experts, and it's a question of bringing out an ordinance which exploits the United Nations resolution of 2005, where you declare that every Indian account in 70 countries which do illegal banking, their deposits and their bank accounts are nationalized by the government of India. These 70 countries are obliged to give that money back to you. If anyone can show that his bank account was opened legitimately or the deposits were legal, then that account would be returned. You can get this money back. There's no shortage of resource in India. And therefore, there is nothing that can stop India if we have a focused leadership, and which is precisely what Narendra Modi demonstrated in Gujarat. Terrorism, we are attacked every day. What for? Because we don't retaliate. There's no retaliation. The Pakistanis come across a border and cut the heads of 4 soldiers. Except tear jerking, there's nothing. The Prime Minister goes and meets this Nawaz Sharif. What for? Dialogue is important. Dialogue with whom? He's a nobody. He may have the title. Of course, both Prime Ministers are nobodies. Maybe they should be. But Nawaz Sharif was being elected with them at the mercy after his abject surrender to the Taliban, to the mullahs and the ISI. He cannot move even a single file without the clearance of these 3 elements. And these 3 elements are hostile to India. They are now singing the song of occupying India and ruling India again. There is an answer to this. Pakistan is no match for us, provided we can neutralize China. I am 100% certain that India can neutralize China. There are ways to do it, not by being nice to them like Jawaharlal Nehru was, not by bartering Indian territory, but by showing to them that we can strangle them if we want. One way to strangle the Chinese is Malacca Strait. 90% of the Chinese freight traffic and oil traffic, exports, imports, all pass through Malacca Strait. On one side is sitting India, in Car Nicobar's lowest point, which is called Indira Point. It used to be called Pygmalion Point, but now named after Indira Gandhi. And across, just 90 kilometers across, is Indonesia, a hostile state for China. Indonesia and India have many common connections. If we agree to a military pact that we will police, like the Suez Canal is policed, we will police the Malacca Strait. And if we can do that, then you can close down Chinese freight traffic. And if Chinese freight traffic is closed, then there will be starved. So that's one very, very important way of doing it. China's entire economic model depends on getting semi-processed goods from East Asia, processing it and sending it abroad. They put, of course, a stamp made in China. Lenovo computer, do you think the Chinese make it? It's made by the Taiwanese. All the Chinese put is the outer casing and so on. So therefore, why can't we attract the East Asians to send their semi-processed goods through India? India's labor is cheaper. And we are a democratic country. These countries of East Asia feel more comfortable with us than they feel with China. But China is much more, effective in keeping schedules. We have a horrible infrastructure. That infrastructure can be rectified. Focus on it. Give people what they call as from beginning to end, or what turnkey, or whatever it's called. You give them complete freedom to build an infrastructure, build a road system, power system. tell people on contract, come and do as you do feel like, we'll clear the way for you. Let the Chinese do it. We can build a top-class infrastructure. We can. We produce the best roads in the world outside India. Malaysia, Iraq. In fact, Bush appreciated the roads built by Saddam Hussein, but it was not built by Saddam Hussein. He contracted it to us. We built it. Nigeria. But we can't build it in India because of corruption. Finally, corruption is an issue. Incidentally, I would like to say, we had Mr. Nehru speak here just now about Kashmiri Pandit's problem. Yes. Kashmiri Pandit's problem cannot be solved by asking the Pandits to go back, because they will be butchered. We need to first create a climate, an infrastructure by which the Kashmiri Pandits can go back and feel secure. And I have advocated the best way to do that is that out of this 1 crore ex-servicemen we have, we select out those able-bodied people of at least 10 lakhs. Because 5 lakhs Kashmiris were driven out, so as a deterrent we should send back 10 lakhs into Kashmir. Send these ex-servicemen. Let them go and occupy those houses which were vacated by our Kashmiri Pandits. And let them establish the infrastructure of security. People of Kashmir, incidentally, are not against you. I went on May 22nd this year and addressed a public meeting where the public was invited. It was a hall of twice this size, fully full of ordinary Kashmiri citizens, all Muslims. I addressed a meeting there in Lal Chowk where nobody after Indira Gandhi has addressed it, because it's a hotbed. It's a hotbed of the militants. But we held it. The press asked me, what will you say about plebiscite? I said, what plebiscite? The king of Kashmir signed an instrument of accession, like 450 other kingdoms. It is unconditional merger. Instrument of accession has no reference whatsoever to plebiscite or finding out the will of the people. So I said, instrument of accession does not have plebiscite. Where's the question of my speaking about plebiscite? No, Jawaharlal Nehru gave this assurance. So I said, then you go and ask Jawaharlal Nehru. They said, Jawaharlal Nehru, how can we go and ask him now? I said, you can go and talk to a terrorist, he will dispatch you where he is. The people there told me, we are, and especially the women of Kashmir, Muslim women, we would prefer to be with India. But the terrorists say that India will give up Kashmir. They said no for Pakistan, then gave it up. When your own 5 lakh Hindu Pandits have been driven out and you have done nothing about it, where are you going to protect us? Assure us that you will not give up Kashmir under any circumstance, and we will be with you and we will fight with you. This is what the Muslims of Kashmir told me. Our problem is just that. We have been placating all the wrong elements. Terrorism is now getting domesticated. Young boys from different parts of India are now joining terrorist movements. We've got to rectify it. Infiltration has taken place from Bangladesh. 1/3 of its population come to India. Bangladesh minister told me this is economically driven because India has better prospects. So these people come, we can't stop them. I said the fundamental premise on which partition was done. There was no Pakistan. It was created out of India. The fundamental division out of which it was done was that those Muslims who don't want to live with the Hindus, they must have some separate country. And the British created that on that basis. Now, if after creating Pakistan, which later became Pakistan and Bangladesh, the same Muslims returned back to live with Hindus, then why did you have partition? So I told the Bangladesh minister, 1/3 of your population has come to India. You please give me back 1/3 of the territory so that I can put them there. So first he tried to joke with me, he said, which 1/3? So I said, Khulna to select, draw a line on the map, you'll see the entire area above that. We can't do it. Or I said, you take back your people. Don't expect me to put barbed wires and so on. It just ends up corrupting our BSF. That is the kind of language we'll understand. We can take back, we must now enter into an agreement with Afghanistan. Because Taliban has practically taken over Pakistan. Next year when Obama leaves Afghanistan, the Taliban will take over there. Already the Americans are talking about good Taliban and bad Taliban, like good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. How can you have a good Taliban? Let me tell you, I have never faulted the Muslims for what they do because their mind is clear. I fault the Hindus because they are always confused. You see, like this Arjuna sitting, whether I should kill my brother or not kill my brother. No, Ramayana and Mahabharata made it very clear. What is the basis of morality? When Karna's chariot got stuck in the mud and he got down to try and lift it out, Krishna said to Arjuna, kill him now. He said, how can I? I am a Kshatriya. A man is bending downwards. He said, yeah, when you was taking your wife's sari off, that time where was your valor? That time you kept quiet. This is the time to kill him. He doesn't deserve any morality. When Rama hid behind a tree and killed this Bali, Bali dying said, hey Maryada Purushottam, where is your valor? Hid behind a tree and killed me like a coward. You should come before me and we should have had an open fight. So Rama said, who are you to talk to me about morality? You stole the wife of Sugriv. You told her, took away his kingdom, and now you give me lectures on morality. Morality is only between two moral people, not between an immoral and So in dealing with Pakistan today, we can't talk about morality, peace and so on. Islam teaches Muslims that where they are in majority, don't give any place for the minority. That's what they've done in Kashmir. That's what they do anywhere. In Saudi Arabia, you can't build a temple. You got so many Hindus there as workers. You can't celebrate Diwali. You cannot even hold Satyanarayana Puja inside your house. Can we do that in India, where we are in power and in majority? We can't. In Saudi Arabia, a masjid is not a religious place. The Saudi Arabian government breaks masjids and builds roads. They even broke the masjid where Muhammad used to read namaz, called the Bilal Masjid in Makkah. I asked the Saudi Arabian ambassador once, I took him out for lunch, is this true? He said yes, because masjid is not a religious place, it's a facilitation center for reading namaz. Can I say that Ayodhya Babri Masjid is a facilitation center for reading namaz? Can I say that for Vrindavan? Can I say that for Kashi Vishwanath? There are 30,000 temples which were at least demolished, maybe more. But I am telling you about these three most important. I think, in my opinion, the next BJP government should issue notice to the mutwalis of these three masjids and say, please vacate this masjid, we'll build you another masjid a little further down. But there, these three will become temples once again. And that is so it is, we have to have clarity. Today, Muslims in in Gujarat have started voting for BJP. I asked one Muslim, why are you doing this? He said, I don't like Modi, but one thing is certain, that last 12 years, we haven't had a single communal riot. Before that, every 3 months you used to have a communal riot. Ultimately, you want peace and security. And this is what we are getting. The rest of India also the same way. Today, by the way, the Muslim community is got divided. The Shias are voting for us. They have already declared. The Ahmadis, Ahmadiyas, they don't even accept as Muslims, the Pakistanis. I mean the Wahhabi Muslims. Then the Khoja, Bora, and then you had Barelvi Muslims. That's 25% of Islam. I mean Islamic vote, Muslim vote. The only remaining 75% of that 14%, or whatever it is, 12%, 13%, 14%, that is it. So, last time in 2009, the BJP got 27% of the vote. You get a quarter of the 14%, you go to 30. And with this new Modi factor, you get 10. BJP alone will get absolute majority with 40% of the vote. They say, is this possible? I said, what happened in 1977? 5 political parties merged to form Janata Party. These 5 political parties, 1971 vote, if you add it up, came to only 22%. And people used to ask me, how is this possible? That from 22% you'll go to 43%, 42% that you need for majority. I said, election is not mathematics, it is chemistry. Sometimes 2 plus 2 is 22, sometimes 2 plus 2 is 0. And I am saying today that because people want democracy, people don't want coercion, therefore they are going to vote in big numbers and we will get majority. And Janata Party got 43% of the vote, up from 22%. Today we have to just go from 27% to 40%. And you will get absolute majority. And with the help of the Akali Dal and Shiv Sena, you will cross 300. So the possibilities are there. Of course, there are people who will go on discouraging you till last moment, and then they will do a somersault and come back to you saying, we always against Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. Not to worry. Today our job is only one. You are here. I would like to use your abilities to find out solutions to some of the problems post formation of government. If you are interested in contesting, coming to help in the election, I will only say, you do only one thing. Where you are residing, in that there will be a polling booth. Every parliamentary constituency has 1,500 polling booths. You pick 1 polling booth, or 2 polling booths, or 3 polling booths. Each polling booth has 1,000 votes. Get hold of the voter list and go to each of these 1,000 voters' addresses and check whether the fellow is still alive, whether he is migrated, whether he is not registered, whatever. Get the correct update version of the voting votes. Give it to the BJP. The polling booth agent sitting in the booth, when he sees a man comes and says, I am Ram Saran, so and so, BJP guy will know, thanks to your efforts, that this guy was dead 6 months ago. So he has come to impersonate him. Can have him arrested. It's a criminal offense. That contribution you can make. Campaigning, tell all the candidates of the BJP or the ADA, don't come to our area. We are going to every house and telling them, go and vote. And on the day of the voting also, you go to houses and make people go. Otherwise they might be tempted to watch cricket match and not go to vote. Or they'll say, jeet rahe hain, BJP is anyway winning, what does it matter if I don't go? So that attitude you can fight. That's the contribution you can make. or in this country examine how we can build our infrastructure, give us a paper of 3-4 pages on power systems, how to get power systems developed in India where there is a common grid and everybody gets electricity at least 18 hours a day at a voltage which is plus minus 10 volts of 220. Not these wild fluctuations that take place. These are the areas you can contribute. And I think, you see, you're all equipped to do it. So I say today, as we look at the picture, that a new dawn is visible. Baba Ramdev's speech was not an ordinary speech. He has done a tremendous amount. They've targeted him. They've raided his place. They've humiliated him. Even for London, they sent an advance message that he's carrying some contraband, something that which is terrorists want, and therefore he should be intercepted. And it went to the bureaucracy of Britain, and they detained him for 8 hours till the political authority intervened and got him out. So, I mean, he is today playing literally, as I said, I wasn't exaggerating when I said, playing the role of Vishwamitra. Other sadhus are also there, they're doing it more silently. There's a Hindu Dharma Acharya Sabha of all prominent sadhus. They have decided that when the elections are declared, they will go to villages and say, vote for BJP. So, victory is certain. And with it we must bring this cultural revolution. This overriding Hindu identity. They say, oh, Hindu identity, that's communal. Say, you're 80%. How can 80% of the country be communal? If we were 10%, 15%, you can say so. That you are only looking at yourself as community. Here we are asking you to rise above your varna, your jati, your language, your region, and become one. And if 80% of the Hindus unite, then we are actually creating national unity. And we welcome Muslims and Christians, provided they accept that their ancestors are Hindus, which is the truth, which is what the DNA studies say. Their problem is this, there is a concept in Arabic, there's a word called salabi or something like that, or salali, where it just means hierarchy. For the Muslim to acknowledge, at least the mullah to acknowledge that my ancestors are Hindu, it lowers his hierarchy. He must be known as one of the descendant of an Arab conqueror. That is the problem. But minus these mullahs, minus these hotheads, minus these militants and terrorists, the broad masses of Muslims, if they found an Hindu community united and ready to accommodate them, they will break loose from those people and join us, and we can create a Hindustan of Hindus and those others whose ancestors are Hindus. That is the identity we should work with. And slowly bring in Sanskrit, which is now being accepted in the NASA as the language which is the most computer compliant language in the world today, is being declared by NASA as Sanskrit. You can see it in the Google if you go on Google. Sanskrit, you can learn here also. You are NRIs, you have such a lot of facility for learning languages with DVDs and cassettes and so on, that you should see that your younger generation learns Sanskrit. And it's easy to learn, it's necessary to learn because it's the language of the future. Sanskrit will return through the Sanskritization of vocabulary of Hindi. Over a period of time, it will become Sanskrit itself. Like Pali, after Sanskritization, became Sanskrit again. So, a huge, magnificent future awaits India. The United States will need us because they don't have manpower, we do. In fact, they are going to have shortage of skilled labor, and we will have a surplus of 47 million skilled labor by 2030. And the United States will have to change its, I mean, they will themselves change. You don't have to ask. the visa regime to invite Indians. We have strategic commonality with America because the militants have identified 3 countries who are enemies of Islam: India, Israel, and the United States. And these 3 countries, therefore, are natural friends. We don't have to be stooges of any of these, but we can be friends. With the Americans, we have commonality in democracy, market economy, freedom of expression, so many other things we have in common. Of course, the Americans, if you give them half a chance, they will make you into a colony, like they've done with Japan and Australia. But we can't. We have our own independence, and we have neighbors with whom we have to deal. The Chinese have to be dealt with and brought around to our point of view. The day we separate the Chinese from the Pakistanis, that is the day Pakistan will be reduced to 4 countries. Last time it was 2 countries, this time it will become 4 countries, and the continue to be 2 countries. It's not a natural union. People of Balochistan and Sindh have been urging India for years to help them to create a separate country. We have not done it the way they have done in Kashmir. We have not done any work there. But if we do, there will be no Pakistan. It will be reduced to Punjab, and then it will become manageable. So all these problems have solution. India was the world's most developed country once upon a time. It is now our destiny to make it once again the world's most developed country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming, and I want to thank all of you who attended today. And as we are running out of time, there is no question and answer session right now. You can send an email at swami39@gmail.com. Now we have to leave this hall as soon as possible. Anybody who wants to get pictures with Dr. Swamy, they can be in the lobby. And you are all welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope you will come next time again.